Hello, this is Jim Morningstar. I am the Director of In Wellness. Today's Life in Wellness series topic is thinking, the seventh area of our wellness wheel. Our capacity to think truly sets us apart from other life forms on the planet. But how much are we the master of our thinking, or how much does our thinking master us? Psychological research tells us we think on the average of 40 to 50,000 thoughts per day. That's a conservative estimate. Many of these thoughts are variations of familiar themes which populate our mind. These themes can serve us or not on our life path. Or perhaps they served us at one point, but have outlived their usefulness. The good news is that we have the capacity to examine our thoughts and the tools to change those that have overstayed their welcome. Few people, however, develop the skills to be objective enough to achieve even the simplest level of mental mastery. Today's class will give us the opportunity to practice powerful and effective tools on our thinking patterns that can have a profound influence on our life satisfaction. Here's the wellness wheel definition of thinking. Thoughts and feelings are the art and the craft of the human brain. Similar to the lungs, heart, and stomach, the brain works to transform energy. We feed the brain with nutrients drawn from the food we eat, with the energy of great ideas we harvest from people, with the sights, sounds, and movements around us, and with the information in books and other media. Some of this energy is filed away in the brain as data to be drawn on at some appropriate time in the future. The rest is available for daily functioning, for making plans, solving problems, for incubating dreams, and for making connections. Scientific research demonstrates the energy use of the thinking brain. When a person is connected to an EEG, a machine that measures brain activity, the various patterns of thinking or non-thinking reveal different electrical impulses. Think hard, and there is an increase in brain wave frequency. Think soft, and see the brain waves slow down. After a day of head work, you'll feel physically tired because thinking takes energy. This section focuses on the power of thinking. It relates thinking to physical and mental health and offers some creative options for using thinking to improve your well-being. There is an ever-growing literature and research demonstrating the effect of our thinking on the quality of our lives. This is a modern recognition of an ancient wisdom, as a man thinketh, so is he. The mind, which we'll simply define as our capacity to think, or just our collection of thoughts, operates on some very simple principles which we all intuitively know. First, what you focus on tends to increase in your awareness. If I keep focusing on how uncomfortable I am talking with people, I will continue to collect evidence and examples to demonstrate this. What you think is absolute truth is what you will create in your life. If you think of the world as a hostile environment with everyone out for themselves, you will build a life which reinforces this belief. Third, what you think will continue to influence your perceptions until you change it. Now, others may offer you differing opinions or options for life, but you have free will and will only change your mind when you are willing. Just as research has shown that our brain is the storehouse for all our experiences, so our mental counterpart, the mind, is the storehouse of all of our thoughts and beliefs. We cannot focus on all of them at once, so we selectively attend to our conscious thoughts and keep in the background our unconscious thoughts. Just because it's in the background, however, does not mean the unconscious part of our mind does not influence our behavior, and thankfully so. We do not have to review everything we know about driving before we get behind the wheel. We unconsciously bring forth how to stop the car when needed without having to consciously think about it every time. However, some of our unconscious programming may be stopping us from many things in our lives we would derive greater benefit from moving beyond. How do we know which beliefs we have in our mind are producing the results we want in our current life? If I have free will to choose my thoughts, why don't I just choose good thoughts and have a great life? Well, your mind has been growing and developing all your life. You've taken on thoughts and feelings of your family and culture, and many of them are conflicting. That's why we say, part of me wants this, but another part wants that. Further, you may dislike your thoughts, but you are responsible for keeping and acting on them or not. My father told me that bankers don't deserve all that money. That's why I robbed the bank. It's my father's fault. Well, tell it to the judge after 18 years of age. The most powerful or strongly reinforced thoughts have the greatest influence on your behavior. You're not always aware of many of these. The self-talk from the unconscious part of the mind can be the basis of low self-esteem and self-sabotage. Often I'm surprised to discover I have negative beliefs that other parts of my mind deny. How can I sort through the huge collection of thoughts I have to discover what's running my life? Here's where the analysis principle comes in. I can discover the contents of my mind. In the following exercise, let us explore our minds compassionately, recognizing that every thought, whether we judge it as positive or negative, has some potentially useful function. We have the ability to increase the usefulness of our thinking if we are supported by accepting intentions towards ourselves as we do this process. Here's where we can appropriately use the Buddhist tool of mindfulness, compassionately observing but not identifying with our thoughts, and our tool of creative thought, actively changing thinking patterns that do not serve us. This gives us both a powerful yin and yang tool for mental mastery. Each of us has the ability to discover the contents of our mind and why we are behaving the way we are if we have the courage to do so. It does not take super intelligence. Some of the most, quotes, intelligent people, IQ-wise, are blind to their feelings and therefore blinded by their feelings. Courage of the heart is a wisdom of another order, and it's the key to a sense of freedom and happiness. To illustrate our ability to discover the contents of our mind, we'll play the analysis game. Now, there's a few warnings on the package here. This may seem too simple, and yet it may have strong emotional reactions: mad, sad, glad, scared. That means you're hitting a nerve of a real issue, and that's a good sign. You may have judgments on yourself or others. Let go of them and proceed. Your mind may go blank, or you may become confused. Just stay with the process. It will get straight if you stay with it. You can even get tired as you're going through this because you may run into some conflicting thoughts inside of you. But this is ultimately not dangerous, except perhaps to your misery. So let's look at handout 1, the analysis game. Choose an area on step 1 of a present challenge in your life. Could be work or personal, and write in subsection A, what I have is, and this is something that you want to change, and what I want is, and this is something that you'd like to have instead. A simple example might be, what I have is a low wage, and what I want is higher pay. Well, number 2 is going to involve a willing suspension of disbelief. Now, this is something we use when we go to the theater. We see the actors on stage and they're pretending there's a tree or a house or a horse, and we go along with it just for the sake of following the story. Well, I'm going to ask you to go along with this suspension of disbelief right now and follow this through to the conclusion. I want you to believe right now assume right now that there's a good reason that you have what you have. In this case, the example is a low pay. There's a good reason that I'm having a low pay. 3 good reasons why having a low pay is of some advantage. Now, this is not to convince you should stay with low pay, quite the contrary. But we want to find the beliefs underneath this, which may be keeping you stuck in this low pay syndrome. So I'm asking for valid reasons, things that are genuine benefits, not neurotic reasons like, well, I don't deserve it, or I'm not smart enough, or something like that. I'm lazy. No, we're looking for genuine reasons. So in this example, a reason might be, well, when I have low pay, then I don't have too much responsibility for tasks that I don't want to do, maybe like supervising people. Secondly, having low pay challenges me to value my service and look for a job that fits me and an employer that really appreciates me. Or low pay might prompt me to work harder to show that I am good at something and earn respect and compensation. And this is not to, again, to convince us to stay with low pay, but we're looking for step 4. What are the limiting beliefs behind those reasons which would keep me there? So, for example, my first reason was low pay means then I don't have too much responsibility for things that I'm not good at. Well, in step 4, I discover that the limiting belief there is that, well, if I earned more money, I'd have to struggle more and take on things I don't like. The second reason I had was, well, having low pay is going to force me out of this job. It's going to challenge me to value my service and get a better job and someone that appreciates me. Well, the limiting belief there may be I can't get respect for my true value where I am working. The third reason I had for the low pay was that it prompts me to work harder to show what I'm good at and earn respect and compensation. The limiting belief there may be, well, I can't earn more unless I work a lot harder. Okay, I suggest, if at all possible, you turn off the video at this point and come back to it after you've completed handout 1, the analysis game, for yourself. Let's find what those limiting beliefs are that may be lurking in your subconscious. How do I change my limiting beliefs? Now you have an example of some of the limiting beliefs which can be sabotaging having what you consciously say you want in your life. But just discovering our limiting beliefs can be the booby prize. Oh, great. Now I know why I'm miserable and I'm still miserable. Unless I can exercise my ability to change those thoughts. Here's where the affirmations principle is all important. I can change the contents of my mind. First, we must admit our feeling nature to master the principle of changing our mind positively and permanently. To demand of ourselves that we have good thoughts and behaviors can just produce rebellion and reactivity. Integrating the heart, or the feeling, and the head, the thinking, produces integrated human beings who are receptive and proactive, as well as empathetic and creative. The affirmation. How do we effectively change our mind in the face of so many negative and limiting thoughts we are exposed to and the fears we've accumulated along the way? Here's where one of the most powerful tools that humans have must be learned and skillfully used: the affirmation. An affirmation is a consciously chosen thought, a sentence, to precisely counter the limiting beliefs we have in a way that initiates a productive course of action. If it's just a flowery, sentimental saying that leads to no significant change in my life, then it's worthless. On the other hand, we've all experienced the thought that gives us the aha reaction when uncovering a truth that frees us. A good affirmation is our sword of truth that cuts through doubt and illusion and opens the heart to breathe and manifest its true desires in this life. To construct an effective affirmation, we use the 4 P's guideline. This is a retraining of our mental self-talk that assails us continuously. Herein is the key to life change. It's not about getting others to change to make us happy. It's changing our self-talk. Let's look at handout 2, the 4 P's of affirmation writing. Now, good affirmation, first of all, is positive. The affirmation must direct me towards what I want. So get the knots out. A good example is, I'm attracting work opportunities that I enjoy, for which I am rewarded. A bad example is, I'm not going to work on jobs that depress me. Now, our mind, like a dog, works on commands. The first sentence has the embedded commands. I attract, I enjoy, and I am rewarded. The second sentence has the commands, I'm not going to work, and depress me. We've got to use what we know about the mind to manifest what we want. The second guideline for a good affirmation is to make it personal. The affirmation must be about me and my life rather than general conditions. It must move me personally. I must be willing to feel it for it to be effective. A good example is, I'm feeling more joy in my life each day. I feel it as I say it. A bad example is, life should be lived joyfully. Affirmations can be also used in the second and the third person. You, Jim, feel more joy in your life each day. Or, Jim feels more joy in his life each day. The first person affirmation, however, is usually the best place to start. Humans most every day use I, thou, and it interactions. So we optimize our change of mind by being able to affirm in all 3 modes. The third guideline for a good affirmation is to make it present. The affirmation generally touches me most effectively if it's stated in the present tense, not the future or the past. All power to change is in the present. A good example is, I'm working more productively as I encourage myself. Bad examples, I will do better at work when I have a better attitude. Or, if I had a better attitude, I'd be better off now. The mind looks for loopholes. The will and when are in the future. So I don't have to do anything to change now. Yeah, I will do better, but of course, I don't have a good attitude now, so I'm not doing better. Or, if it's stated in the past, then affirming negatively in the past also reinforces it in the present. When I say, I'm no longer depressed as I've been for the last 10 years, the mind hears, I am depressed. The fourth guideline for a good affirmation is to make it practical. The affirmation needs to stretch me just to the right degree, not to overwhelm or underwhelm me. Now, I know when that's right for me. A bad example is, everyone thinks I'm the greatest. Well, my mind can't and shouldn't buy this. Or, someday, if I'm lucky, someone may think I'm okay. Well, that's a wimpy goal. Good examples depend on what's just right for me. It clicks for me. Examples may be, I'm enjoying my relationships more and more. And then my mind starts to think of how that's true. Or, I'm bringing people into my life who appreciate me for who I am. I begin to focus on where and when that's true for me. Now, these 4 P's may be overridden by the 5th P, passion. If a thought really turns you on, lights your fire, use that one. On handout 2, at the bottom, there's the affirmation writing process. So let's put these guidelines into action by taking the limiting beliefs you came up with in the analysis game and changing them into positive affirmations. We use our own limiting beliefs because, first of all, they're in our way and they need to be redirected. Secondly, they have emotional energy, which can now be used in our favor. The very same energy that went into our limiting belief and might have sadness, fear, or anger is just life energy with a value attached to it. Our job is not to get rid of our energy, but to change the limiting value we put on it. Write an affirmation for each limiting belief from the analysis game. Check each affirmation with the 4Ps guidelines. And remember the 5th P, passion, can override any of the other Ps. That is, an affirmation that really rings the bell for you, go for it. That's what will have a true impact on your life. Once again, if at all possible, turn off the video and complete your affirmation writing process. Now here's a helpful tip to enhance this process for you. Finding a partner to share the analysis game and the affirmations exercise can up the ante in their effectiveness. Both parties complete and share both elements. If you can communicate your process such that another person can understand it, both parties' mental mastery are reinforced. You can further this reinforcement by having your partner read your affirmation to you in the second person. For example, my partner would read my affirmation to me with varying degrees of intensity. Jim, you are bringing people into your life who appreciate you for who you are. To which I would respond affirmatively, yes, I am. Then repeat it several times, not making a joke of it, but having fun with it. Jim, you are bringing people into your life every day who appreciate you for who you are. To which I might reply, yes, that's really true. This is very powerful in helping it seep between the cracks of our defenses and establish a new foundation for our self-esteem. I've done this many times and have always found it profound and enjoyable. Sometimes I think we should change our educational aphorism from no pain, no gain to no joy, no juice.